so you have the weekend to recover. Because, you know, it's like, you know, he's just dying. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, John, can we get him cut by a lancer? We want a chainsaw is going through your chest. Okay, just give me the sign. You know, just. But a funny thing happened actually, and I have to do this gig this week. It's an Adventure Time game, and I played the Banana Guard on Adventure Time. You know the Banana Guard? Yeah, it sounds like this. It's based on Pendleton Ward doing the Lumpy Space Princess. Oh my God. And so basically I was just like, I'm just going to do an impression of Penn for the Banana Guard, and they were like, that's really funny, dude, man, do it, you know? So I'm the Banana Guard. So the problem with this is that you're swallowing your voice. I thought it was going to be a one-off as well. Like, you know, I'm Banana Guard. Okay, see you later. And be done. So I have to talk like that for about 2.5 hours this week. And so this is going to be a real, okay. Because after a while you start to go, you're like swallowing your own face, you know, while you're recording. So I don't know.
Good question, though.
That's a good question, definitely.
Yeah.
She wins the I Swallowed My Own Face award. The best question.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is for both of you. What is your favorite line you always like doing over and over again?
Well, I usually do what you guys ask me, and I'm sure everyone in this room knows what the famous Brock line is, right? You want to say it with me? I'll just use my trusty frying pan as a drying pan. Shakespeare. It's actually Shakespeare. But I think my favorite James line is from The Unknown, the movie of The Unknown. Remember with the floating letters? And James says, I haven't seen this many strange letters since I placed that personal ad.
That is wild stuff. Yeah. I'm kind of scared sitting here now. That is,
I didn't write it.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know, everybody always asks me to say, you know, bite my shiny metal ass, or you know, hey, totally math, or you know, whatever. But one of my favorite lines of all time comes from Futurama, and it's when Bender and Fry are walking up the side of a building, like Batman and Robin style from the 60s, and they're walking past the room, and he looks in a window and says, "Ah, get a room, you two!" and the guy inside the room goes, "We're in a room." And so Bender says, "Well, lose some weight." My favorite.
That's great.
My favorite of all time, I think. Just, you know.
Yeah.
Mix in a salad for crying out loud.
Funny.
Wow, very funny.
Yeah, Adventure Time joke was funny in that episode.
So, in your opinion, what was your best voiceover?
What's your best voice?
I don't know what my best voiceover was.
I don't think I can tell you what my best. You'd have to tell me.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a, you know, well, you'd say Jake?
You don't have to.
Well, what? Oh, excuse you. Gesundheit. You know, I mean, Jake is a lot of fun, and Jake's kind of right here, you know. I don't have to do too much for Jake, except when he gets crazy, you know. No, crazy, not lazy, crazy. I don't know. I love all the voices that I do. I get to play, so.
Yeah, and when we pick one, sometimes it offends the fan that doesn't like that one. I like when you guys say, you know, Brock's my favorite. I hated James, or Kaiba's a jerk. I really like, you know, whatever it is. Yeah, I feel like if I ever cosplayed it as any of my characters, I would offend the ones that liked the other one.
Yeah.
So I kind of stay neutral. I'm just happy to work.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, doing what we do is a job, but it's great to, and this is why doing the conventions is fun too, is we work in a booth, we don't necessarily know what you are enjoying and what you're not enjoying. This gives us a chance to get that feedback, and that's really kind of neat. And it's very humbling to know that what we do for a living entertains you, and you stick with us.
Eric, my friend, that was very well put.
Thank you. Thank you. Good question.
All right, good question, buddy.
Hello again, you two.
Hello.
Sorry. Hello again, you two. My question is, do you have any funny stories from your time in the booth with any of your characters?
Any funny stories?
I had an engineer that would have every actor at the end of their session say something dirty and save it on an alternate track. And I don't know if you know this, but when we do adaptation, we get beeped into where we're supposed to speak so we can match lip flaps. So it starts a couple of seconds before your line. So you get beep, 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 and when the fourth beep should be is where you speak. So what that engineer would do was take that previous actor's dirty line and set it up right in the middle of the beeps. So it would be beep, beep, and then you'd have to go and say your line. And I can tell you more times than not, I was on the floor, like with those kind of the laughing you can't breathe, which would kill the session for at least 10, 15 minutes, because it was, especially when it was like characters like Ash cursing. You know what I mean? So those were funny stories, yes.
There's young kids here, but the funniest thing I think ever is to curse in your character's voice.
Yeah.
Deep down, everybody wants to hear Jake the dog say shit.
Yeah. And I think as good actors, I always, when I mess up and I'm about to, if I'm making the mistake and branch off into cursing, I stay in character.
Yeah.
I don't go into Eric. It's Brock doing it full on.
I mean, it's there's a lot of tapes going around of voice actors really screwing up their lines.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Bumper Robinson. He's on Ben 10, and he does the funniest thing when he messes up. He goes, Ben Tennyson, I think that... It's even funnier than when he...
What's it like when you do rap? Like, do you do it with...
If I do, let me tell you something, brother. I think I just had a brain aneurysm. Hold on. Yeah, that's a screamer. That's a crazy. No, that wrath is just too much. I get veins popping out of my...
I'll give you just a quick little bonus to your question, because I think you'll enjoy this. So the engineer at 4Kids, we did all the promos, right? We'd all jump in there and do our characters doing the promos, so when we'd all mess up, because it's like given to us right at the last minute, there's a lot of cursing going on. At Christmas, he would ID each ID with that specific curse word by every actor and put lovely Christmas music under each one and hand it out to us. And when I've decided to completely retire from this business, I will release the best of, because trust me, it will be a holiday classic.
Yeah. I want a copy of that directly.
I've got it on the phone. I'll play it for you sometime.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. John had a question for you.
Yes.
My favorite character that you've done is Jake the dog, but I know you also did the Joker from Under the Red Hood.
That's right, I did. Hey, thanks.
And that's probably my second favorite role that you've ever done. So I was wondering what your inspirations were for getting into Joker and how you decided on the voice that you were going to do for him because of all of the other previous Jokers in the past.
Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I did the Joker, and I was shown the first scene. And I don't know if you guys, those of you who haven't seen Under the Red Hood, it's a rather violent pass at animated Batman. And, it opens with the Joker beating Robin within an inch of his death with a crowbar while talking to him. So you can imagine how I had to kind of really dig into that psychopathic sort of side of, the depths of your mind to try and just be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. It's pretty scary. and at the same time, Cesar Romero was my favorite Joker. So to try and combine Cesar Romero with an absolute 100% uber-violent psychopath was where I was going. I wanted him to be evil, yet his jokes would be a slow burn. And so, you know, whatever he would lay out as a joke would be just a nasty, horrible thing. Like when he's, you know, he kills off all the guys in the room and says, "I'm gonna need some guys, not these guys, but some other guys." You know, it's just that's just just I don't know. It's just a dark place, and that's what I fed into. So, but thank you for the props. I appreciate it. That's a kick-ass Harley outfit. Nice job.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a question for Eric.
Yep.
In the original Pokemon series, you also did the voices of some Pokemon as well.
Yes.
What was your most favorite?
Oh, Squirtle, hands down. Yeah, and first of all, Squirtle, you know, you always remember your first Pokemon. Squirtle was the first Pokemon that I got to actually voice, which was great. But a little known fact about Squirtle's water gun attack, because most of the fans thought that was a sound effect, but I actually went like that, yeah. No, he replaced us after 12 years of being on the show, so there you go, yes, Squirtle. And he wore Ray-Bans. I always thought if any Pokemon was wearing real clothes, that was kind of cool. Good question.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Are you going to ask the question?
You got to get up if you're going to ask the question. Can't do it from the floor. He's like, all right, man.
For him.
What's the question?
He wanted to know what's John's favorite line as Jake.
My favorite line is Jake. My favorite line is Jake is dude, be calmed by my saliva. You know?
That'd make a great T-shirt.
Yeah. I think they have it already at Hot Topic. That's what scares me.
All day, every day.
Awesome. Well, I hope I'm a good influence. Has he learned his timetables yet? Because 2 + 2 is 4. 3.
The reason he'll read is because of Adventure Time comics.
Oh, well, all right. We'll try and add some math and history to those comic books. You know, because that's all right. Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good question.
All right. I wanted to ask both of you, actually.
Yep. Yeah, Team Rocket representing.
If either of you had a favorite episode or movie, whatever, to do voiceovers for?
That's kind of hard. I like so many of this. There's so many funny little moments. I was asked this the other day, and I was reminded of when James has to pretend he's Professor Oak in the game show, because I can do Professor Oak, and actually I do Professor Oak just as good as Professor Oak does. And so James has to impersonate him, right? Of course, they're dressed the same on the game show, and it's supposed to confuse the fans. So I'm James, but as the actor, I went in there and I basically did Professor Oak, and I got notes back from the producer, you can't do it that good. The kids need to know which one is the real Oak, and you're doing Oak better than Oak. I was like, well, isn't that the whole point? And they're like, no. But so I always liked that episode because I dialed it back a little bit, but it was fun to have one of my characters impersonate another one of the characters on the show. Which goes to show you that we're all replaceable, because we can all pretty much imitate each other.
Pretty much.
Yes.
I loved always doing Zoidberg in front of Billy West. Zoidberg. Do a little dueling Zoidbergs. Young lady, go get me a sandwich from the dumpster and leave the maggots on it. And then, oh yes, oh yes. Oh was the best. Ridiculous. Squirtle, janitor. I always like impersonating those characters. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Daryl.
Daryl.
My question is, you guys are talking about how when you guys are playing physically, like with your voices and like experimenting and coming up with stuff, have there ever been any instances where you and like another voice actor had just been playing around with your characters and you guys ended up coming up with like something really funny that you wish you had written down, or something that you wish you could pitch to someone as like a funny one-off or a spin-off or something?
You know what's funny? Randy in Futurama was originally drawn as an old man, right? Just an old man, but he was called the Man in the Mob, and he didn't have a name yet. And so when I saw the Man in the Mob, I originally just went straight to. See, we grew up in, like, outside of, like, he's a Brooklyn guy. I grew up in Jersey. So, and then we were both in New York City for a long time. So, in New York City, if there's a mob, there's always one guy in there going, yeah, this isn't good at all. No. Okay? Let me tell you something, Mr. Man. So when I had the line, the robot has to go, he became Randy, because like I was just screwing around in the studio, just looking at, I would turn to Katie Seagal and go, Katie, and she'd turn to me and go, what? And I go, you're an asshole. And so it kind of stuck, and it kind of happened. And when you get to play like that, and something comes up with it, it's awesome. Like that's the bonus of this job.
That's great. Yeah, because we play so many different characters, it's like you get thrown these things, and it's like, well, we want you to also do this voice, and you're kind of like, well, what haven't I done yet, or what is left? So having that opportunity to use those voices you haven't used or that you want to usually comes along. When I was playing James and Brock on Pokemon, they were like, well, here's the other Team Rocket. Here's Butch and Cassidy. We want you to be Butch. And I'm like, well, these three guys talk to each other all the time. I'm already doing my Casey Kasem for Brock. I'm doing my Tim Curry for James. I'll just do my Harvey Fierstein for Butch. Because they sound nothing alike. So I was like, I'm running out of registers and accents, but that's what it's like, well, I haven't used that voice yet, so let's do that. So we usually get the opportunity, if we're lucky enough to be doing jobs that require us to play multiple characters. Or then we're talking about, John's talking about where we grew up. I directed Viva Pinata. I don't know if you've ever seen that little show. Now, a great show, but it was a prelay show, so I didn't have to match lip flap. I recorded the voices individually, built that show, we sent it to the animators, the right way to do it. Well, Pecky Pudgeon was a newspaper pigeon. So I had to do Joe Pesci, because I figured I'm from Brooklyn, I'm going to need a pigeon. That's how a pigeon would talk if he was a newspaper guy. I figured, when am I going to get a chance to do a Brooklyn accent? I never play the New York guy in any show I do. I had to do that one. And Les Galagugu is my ode to Cousin It. Yes, Les, we understand you. That's all it was. I was just doing, Cousin It. And if you don't know who Cousin It is, you've got to leave.
Yeah. If you don't know who Cousin It is, you've got to go.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hello.
My name's Jack, and I was wondering, this is for John DiMaggio, and I was wondering, how did you feel when you played Bender?
How do what?
How'd you feel when
How do you feel when you play Bender?
That's not a question for a child to ask. How a man feels when he plays Bender. Can you dig it? I knew that you could. How do I feel when I play Bender? It's the greatest feeling in the world! Yay! It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I get to goof off. Hey, did you guys hear that there's an episode